Which brings me to talk to her about what are some common illnesses that you come across and how you approach their treatment.
Yeah, so some of the most common ones are pain, digestive issues, sleep difficulties, for instance, and then menstrual, reproductive issues and things like that as well, leaky bladder. So I can just talk a little bit about how I would deal with that. So in the last video, we talked about what the initial consultation looked like, and then I said I do some body work. So one of the things I do is a Mayan abdominal massage. It's called Arvigo Mayan Abdominal Therapy.
Okay.
And I love this work because it's life-changing. So for instance, if, this is a very common problem women have, is a leaky bladder. So after childbirth or with age, they may cough or sneeze and laugh and leak urine. And the bladder descends over time. And with this simple abdominal massage, you can learn to lift your bladder back up. And it takes 5 minutes, and you can do it on yourself. And it's life-changing. Now, so I am not permitted to put the massage online. But I can show it to you one-on-one. And because there are some contraindications, so I have to, kind of educate people individually on that. And then, but you can also receive this massage from, various practitioners. There's not very many actually in this area. I'm one of the few. But I can do an individual session, do the massage on you, and then show you how to do it on yourself. But it's a very simple 5 to 10 minute massage you can do on yourself. And because of the guidelines of my school, I'm not able to just put it on an internet video. So I apologize for that.
It has to be very individualistic based, and like you said, there are contraindications, so we don't want to just mention something and it actually harms certain person.
Right, like if you have an IUD, you don't want to accidentally shift the IUD and things like that, or from MASH. So you do have to kind of customize things. But the massage is amazing. It changed my life, and it's changed a lot of women's lives, and it only takes 5 or 10 minutes a day and can make a huge impact. But also, like for instance, I know I'm getting kind of specific here with women, but this massage is also really good for men and children as well. But for a moment, I'm just going to focus on the women. So uteruses, right? They tend to get tipped or tilted, and in allopathic medicine, people say that's not a problem. Oh, a lot of women's uterus is tipped or tilted, no big deal. But it actually, in the Mayan tradition, if the woman's uterus is tipped or tilted, that creates all the problems. So if it's tipped or tilted in any direction, when it sheds its lining, it's going to cause pain and cramps. And if it's in the center position, when it sheds its lining, it's just, there's no pain or cramps. So women should not have to suffer from cramps. It's not normal to suffer from cramps. Ideally, you would have no cramps. If the uterus is in the center position, there will be no cramps. At the most, 45 minutes of light cramping, and that's it. Your hormones will be balanced because the uterus is in the center position. They say if the uterus is off, the woman feels off. If the uterus is at home, the woman feels at home. So it does actually matter where your uterus is. And allopathic medicine hasn't yet caught on to that idea. It can cause a lot of, not just menstrual difficulties, irregular cycles, hormonal problems, and cramps, but it can cause fertility issues. If the uterus is tipped or tilted, it can cause low back pain that's unnecessary. So there's a lot of different things that can really be resolved just from learning the simple 5 to 10 minute massage you do on yourself to bring your uterus in the center position. And it's really easy. It's not even that hard. And once that's in the center position, everything starts functioning beautifully. There is a portion of the work that I do that's part of this therapy is to assess if there's any torque in the pelvis. Because if there is a torque in the pelvis, it'll pull the ligaments of the uterus and it'll make the uterus tip or tilt. So we do have to just assess that torque and then, try to correct that torque with some exercises we do. And then do the massage on yourself. And then that should take care of it. But that is one of my favorite things that I do because not very many people know about it. Excuse me. The upper abdomen massage is excellent for digestion. So this is really good for lowering stress and anxiety. It helps to massage the abdominal organs. And so that's a really great thing for digestion. And even the lower abdomen massage is not just good for women, it's good for men as well and children because it is affecting the colon and it's also affecting the male reproductive areas and increasing circulation and lymphatic flow. So that's one of the things I do that's really great for hormonal issues. And I would also use herbs in conjunction with that. Certain, a lot of Ayurvedic herbs are either plant-based sources of estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, and so we can do a lot of hormone balancing with herbs as well.
Okay. One thing I do want to quickly ask is, when you are doing these treatments and all that, do you recommend the person also involving their Western or allopathic and kind of keeping in conjunction Ayurveda and Western medicine together? Or what do you recommend with your typical client?
I mean, like in this particular case, for instance, there would be no, usually allopathic treatment might be that maybe somebody's on birth control or when we're talking about hormonal issues, for instance, or maybe they're on a progesterone cream, and that would be fine. Then they could just take that and I can just teach them the massage.
Okay.
So yeah, it definitely is complementary. It's not like it has to be either or.
Okay, that's something I was wondering about, like how will that interact with the Western medicine, the different hormones and the different treatments that are available in the allopathic ways as well.
Right. So then I can also talk to you about pain and sleep difficulties if you want.
Yes, definitely. I'm sure the viewers would love to learn about the different options available, in pain in this way as well. Yeah.
So pain is obviously a big problem for people. And so what my approach is to identify the root cause of what's causing that pain.
Okay.
So sometimes it's because of an accident or an injury or a surgery, and it's shock or trauma in those tissues that hasn't fully healed. Sometimes it's emotional pain. I mean, 99% of all imbalances can a lot of times be mentally, emotionally related in some way. So sometimes physical pain in the body is an actual emotional blockage that never got released. It can also be a rupture in your boundary. So if anybody has ever been, attacked or hit, or a ball hitting them, or a car, anything like that, it creates a rupture in your boundary because that came at you without your permission. And then it creates a tear in your energetic field or aura or electromagnetic field. And so then anytime somebody stands in that spot where the rupture happened, you may feel anxious or nervous or scared, but you don't really make the connection that it's because they're standing in this area where something came at you at one time. And so one of my favorite things to do is, we call it clearing directions. So I do this work called Somatic Trauma Resolution, which is based on Peter Levine's somatic experiencing. And in that work, we do something called clearing directions to check the boundaries at every single angle all the way around you, to see if you notice a change in sensation. So I remember this one client, I walked around her. I stood at one angle and she just burst out crying because that was the angle that somebody had come at her and attacked her. And so, our energetic field stores these memories that we may not consciously realize that are still there. And then what we did to correct that, to reestablish that boundary, was I would have her push me away with a ball. I would have her imagine pushing me away with a ball and then actually do it, to help her nervous system again feel that sense of boundary and safety again. And then when I stood there, when we were done, there was no change in sensation, so her boundary had gotten stronger there. But somatic trauma resolution is one of my favorite things to do for pain, especially if it's from, trauma and shock related, which a lot of pain is. You can go back and renegotiate the situation. So if somebody's had a really awful childhood or a really awful relationship, they can go back to that relationship, or even if they're in it currently, like a boss that really pisses you off or something like that. You make yourself huge and giant and strong and powerful, and the other person tiny, small, and powerless. And you can imagine doing or saying to them whatever you want. Anything goes. No limits, no constrictions, no constraints. Because in the imaginal realm, it's safe. You can make it safe for you to do or say anything you want. And then you track the feeling in your body once you've done that, and your body carries that memory instead. It feels as if it got to actually do that. And that's the beautiful thing about this work, is that 90% of the work happens in the imaginal realm. The body doesn't know the difference. So if you imagine doing something you love, for me it's dancing. So if I imagine myself dancing, then, and I close my eyes and I track the feeling in my body starts to feel like it's dancing, and I get the same sensations that I might get when I'm dancing, like euphoria or bliss or lightness, openness, more energy, things like that.
Yes, more happiness.
Yeah, more happiness. So as you imagine doing it, your body thinks it's actually happening. It doesn't know the difference. So you can use that principle to renegotiate anything, car accidents, injuries. You can go back and have them happen differently. You can imagine a bubble around your car. You can imagine that you fell on a giant mattress instead, and that soft cushioned support, and then track the feeling in your body. And what happens is it releases the shock and the trauma out of the tissues, and it creates permanent pain relief.
It's kind of like helping with how different people use counseling and dealing with PTSD. This is one way of approaching those kind of issues.
Yeah, but it's body-based. That's the difference.
One way, not like of an effective as you have seen.
yeah, but you're right. It is like counseling in a way, but it's body-based, because everything is coming back to tracking sensation in your body. So you imagine doing whatever, and then you track the sensation in your body. You renegotiate the situation, and then you track the sensation in your body. Because as you start tracking and following the sensation in your body, that's where all the work starts to happen. Things start to release and discharge, and the pain starts to travel, and then as things start to move, the body has its own pathway of how it wants to heal itself. And it has its own intelligence of what it wants to do first. And so as you just trust that process and just watch the sensation without trying to fix it or change it, and follow it, notice it, if there's a color, if there's a shape, then what happens is that thought flow of energy there increases the energy in that area, and the body just automatically begins to heal itself. And so, yes, it is similar to counseling, but it's body-based, and that's the difference.
It's helping the body come up with its own coping mechanisms and how to handle and these different experiences they have gone through, and helping these clients through the body-based way.
Yeah, right, to release it out of their nervous system and release it out of their tissues so that it's permanent pain relief.
Heal from it. That makes sense. That's very interesting.
And then it improves their sleep, obviously, too, because they're no longer in pain. Because when something happens and you didn't get your need met, then you keep repeating that pattern, you keep repeating the scenario in your mind, or you may even keep repeating the pattern in your life to try to meet that need that didn't get met early on. But once you can complete the need with this work, the need is met on a very deep level inside, and it changes. It can change your life because you're no longer trying to repeat that same pattern again and again to complete the need that didn't get met early on.
I find that very interesting. That's new knowledge for me as well as a provider, and that's something thank you for sharing that. That's the different ways to handle pain and how it's so deep within us. It's not just the outside things. The outside things are affecting us, but also our body, the way it's reacting and causing this somatic pain that could be coming through. So thank you for sharing that. And then there was more that Ayurvedic works with. Is that you wanted to mention?
So there's lots of other things. There's arthritis, and there's lots of different causes for that. Like I said, in a previous video, there's more than one stage of disease. And so as it progresses, as air starts to rise, it might lodge into the joints. It might lodge into the nervous system and create lack of memory and Alzheimer's and dementia. So it just depends on the progression of the imbalance and where it lodges. Panchakarma is an excellent tool for reversing a lot of chronic ailments that have been there for a long time, because we're trying to bring the dosha back home to its original site and then flush it out of the system so that the system can start to regain balance. But yes, there's all kinds of things that Ayurveda is good for: weight loss, swelling. So I do lymph drainage therapy, which is really good for swelling as well. There's, hair loss, a lot of times hormonal. Sometimes people's thyroids get affected, and it's a throat chakra issue because they're not comfortable saying no and setting their boundaries. They're not comfortable speaking up, or maybe there's something they wanted to say but they didn't say. And so that's where the somatic trauma resolution work can really be helpful, because you can imagine saying what you wanted. You can get your nervous system really comfortable with saying no so that you can say no in real life and set those boundaries and not leak your energy out and take on more stress than you need. So a lot of these things are intertwined. But I mean, there's countless ailments out there,
That's
and
true.
Ayurveda can help with nearly all of them.
So that's why I recommend, to get more information and contact her. I'll put all that information on the content below about how you can reach her, and also about different Ayurvedic information available that you can email her or call her to get yourself treated as well if you need, or refer anyone your patient or your family member or anybody that would definitely benefit from getting the different treatments that she has mentioned today, and plus many more that we cannot cover. It will take out many hours to just cover, because it's such a vast amount of knowledge and there's so much involved in Ayurvedic practice. So thank you very much for covering all of this information. Great knowledge, some of it which even as a practitioner I did not know. About how to handle pain. We hear so many different ways, it's the more holistic way there are, the better it is for the people to really figure out what could be underlying cause of that pain. So thank you that sharing that knowledge, and also about the abdominal massage, about the uterus being in balance. So
I think it's a great thing you're doing here, and the more we work together and integrate and share knowledge, the better off we all are. So
I agree. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. And if you have more questions, please comment below or send me a quick message, and I will try to address it. And please don't forget to subscribe and like and follow her or contact her for more information on Ayurvedic medicine. Thank you.
Thank you.